Welcome back to the Rebel Saints podcast. If you've been listening since the beginning, I am so glad you're here. And if you just stumbled onto this and have no idea who I am, hi, I'm Nicole, and I've been gone. I haven't created any new content for this podcast in, I think it's been well over a year. And honestly, I did step away for a bit. Not because I had planned to or I lost interest, but because my life shifted. When I started this podcast, I was a youth minister. I was, in the thick of it each week, talking with teens, leading retreats, answering those big questions about faith, identity, and God in a world that can feel really lonely and really lost and really isolating to many of our youth today. And they're still a huge part of my heart, but God called me somewhere else. So I ended up leaving youth ministry, and I became a journalist for a Catholic newspaper, which meant instead of preaching or teaching or posting on Instagram, I was out there interviewing people, telling their stories, showing up where the church is alive, sometimes struggling, but always beautiful. It's quiet work. It's work that is something that I love doing. I'm totally leaning in and I'm enjoying every second of it. But, it's one where I listen more and talk less. So I hit pause on this podcast. Not because I didn't care, because I wanted to do this right. And I wasn't sure if I could keep the focus on teens if I didn't have interactions with them regularly, despite having a teenager of my own, But I also didn't want to, hop on if I didn't have anything worth saying, like if I was just kind of, floating around in the air, because hello, I can do that. So I'm back. And again, it's not a rebrand or a dramatic overhaul. I think though, I have a clear picture of what this podcast, Rebel Saints, is becoming. So despite it used to be aimed for teens and anyone who cares about them, right? But I think ultimately it was always something that pretty much anyone could probably listen to and hopefully take something away from them. And so I'm leaning into that. This podcast is going to be ideally, I think, in my picture, and for anyone who's ever felt like they're swimming upstream in a culture that doesn't get why we still go to mass or why we actually believe in things like grace, sacrifice, and truth with a capital T. It's for people who are maybe, curious about what the Catholic Church is, and why are we so weird, But ultimately, it's for people just trying to live their faith without pretending it's easy. Okay, it's for people who are tired of, maybe the shallowness of some of the things that, exist in our world today, and, want to have a different take on looking at things. And again, not that, everything that's secular and not Catholic is shallow. That's totally not what I'm saying here. And I for sure can fall prey to the more shallow things of our life. We are human. But I think it's more about striking that balance, right? And like I said, if you're not Catholic, but you're curious, hey, I'm here to answer your questions. If you have any, certainly drop me a question in my email or whatever. But this podcast maybe might help you understand more fully if this, I guess what we can call ancient faith. I mean, what constitutes ancient? 2,000 years? I don't know. But I guess for all of us, it's how does this faith speak to the mess and wonder of living in this world today. So I'm going to talk about all of it. I'll talk about saints and their weird, wonderful lives, about those really hard teachings that challenge us. I mean, it is hard to be Catholic, okay? And we'll have honest discussions about the parts of the church that maybe feel broken, or that have broken people. And the hope that those of us who are working and living in what is a hospital, we hold on to. And I'm sure we'll talk about the media, culture, silence, noise, the doctrine, and, the dirt that, comes with living in our world. Okay, so we're going to be kicking it off with a big one, the great nudge the Holy Spirit gave me to kind of just dive right back into trying to create some content, Catholic content, that you will take something away from, right? And ideally, it's a way that I can continue to grow in my own understanding and of the faith and relationship with God. So we have a brand new Pope, right? Pope Leo the 14th. And that episode is already waiting for you if you haven't heard it yet. So certainly go and have a listen. But more than anything, if you ever felt like a misfit Catholic, perhaps, or if you're holding on to your faith in this world that you feel is constantly trying to convince you that it's irrelevant, or if you want a space to sort through the big stuff without feeling like you have it all figured out, because honey, I really don't. Like, I don't have any degrees in theology or whatever. I've been a catechist for over 20 years, and so everything I've learned alongside kids or people who are learning, or I had to go and ask people who are much more knowledgeable in this stuff. So if you are one of those people and I get something wrong, certainly let me know, because I'm here to learn too. And if any of that sounds like you, pull up a chair. You're in the right place, because this is the Rebel Saints podcast, and I'm really glad you're here.